My name is Carly Korish, and this was my third year on mission trip. I think the most difficult thing for me, and it's kind of a huge joke among most of the people in youth group anyways, but for me it's kind of a personal thing. I have acute essential tremors, so my hands shake a bunch. So using power tools and a bunch of other things like saws, I was always really scared that I was going to mess up or hurt someone else. And then there's always the factor of everyone staring at me going, "Come on, Carly, come on, shaky hands, let's do it, you can do it." And I guess it was just getting over that and not hurting anyone. That was my biggest thing. But everyone was okay, and I don't think anyone, including Bobby, had any injuries. So
My name is Trent Briggs, and this was my first mission trip. Well, I thought that staying with my sister all week was going to be a really big challenge, but we pulled through it.
I'm Morgan Briggs, and this is my third mission trip. The thing that was most difficult about this was that the rooms were really cold that we were staying in, and I only had a sheet to cover up with, and so I didn't get much sleep the first 2 nights. But then, luckily, Carly and Emily let me sleep between them, and it was really warm the rest of the nights.
Hi, I'm Taya Briggs, and this was my third mission trip. Actually, one of the things that was a big challenge was actually me and Gabby had just come from Lake Lucerne from our LIT training, and so literally I had about 12 hours between the time I got home and the time I was supposed to leave for a mission trip. So I threw all of my luggage in the wash and just pulled it all out and had to leave. So
I am Gabby Larkin, and this was my second mission trip. The hard challenge for me was, like Taya had said, that we just came back from camp, LAT camp, and we literally had to throw our clothes in the wash machine and get them dried that night and then pack that same night and wake up and get ready to go on mission trip. Okay. So LIT camp is called Leaders in Training, so it kind of helped us become leaders in our community or wherever.
Hello, my name is Hayden Breen, and this was my third mission trip. So, a challenge for me on this mission trip was just the difference between the last two trips that I went on. With this trip, there was just a huge amount of poverty and just people who just really had nothing, and it was just really hard to see. Just walking around the city that we were staying in and everything, it was just really hard to see how everyone was getting along in so different lives than what we have here today. So that was kind of hard for me.
I'm Isaac Broccoli, and this was my first mission trip. A hard time was probably the van ride. It was tight, hard to sleep, noisy in the back, Bobby. And we had the air conditioning in the back. We had used Taya's flip-flop because it had no vent, so it would just pour out on Parker, and he'd get cold. So we had to use Taya's poor flip-flop and put it in there and redirect the air.
Hello, my name is Jaden Briggs. This is my fifth youth mission trip and 6-1 total. I believe the hardest part of this mission trip was when we were working on the house, we were cutting out actually the wall so we could put in a board to the side of it, and I was using the circular saw, so I was holding it way above my head trying to cut into it, and all of this sawdust was just flying all over my face, and it pretty much caked my entire upper body, and I had to wash out every single time, and it was super gross. So eventually I just made our youth leader Mike do it, and that worked a lot better.
Hi, I'm Parker Breen, and this is my second mission trip. The most difficult part for me was when Jaden was cutting these tin pieces for the roofing on the deck we were working on, and when he was cutting them with the saw, it was just flying chips everywhere, and it was stinging metal all over your arms and face.
Hi, I'm Michael Scales. I help with the youth group here. My wife is Gina Scales. She's been the director for the last 3 years. We've been on 2 mission trips and enjoyed both of them. I'm kind of talking on her behalf as well as she's at work, and Lily's in the background screaming. So yeah, we went to Jackson, Mississippi 2 years ago. Last year we didn't do anything because Lily was born in May, so we decided not to go at that time, and then we went again this year. So for me, probably the hardest thing to overcome was getting a vehicle initially. So even before we left, we had all kinds of issues. We thought we had a 15-passenger van rented. Turns out it was a 12-passenger, but we didn't realize that until about 7 p.m. Friday night when we're supposed to be leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning. Long story short, lots of phone calls, lots of prayers, everyone trying to chip in and help, and we eventually found a van in Milwaukee that Gina and I went and picked up at like 10 o'clock Saturday morning, so we kind of bumped back our departure time. So that was probably the hardest part, just getting that all arranged, but we were able to get a 15-passenger van with a hitch and get on the trip.
I'm Robert Lane. This is my 5th mission trip. And the hardest thing would be the push-ups Mike had me do every time I misbehave, and I still currently owe him 118.
My name is Nikki Briggs, and this was my 7th mission trip, 5 with the kids and 2 to Haiti. My most challenging time on the trip was actually corralling Bobby, and that is because Bobby had a lot of fun just asking me things like, Nikki, if I'm almost 21, can I purchase beverages that would not be things like soda? And my favorite, which was, if there are pretty girls, can I hit on them? So I had to buy a no pen in the gas station. And so throughout the trip, I actually would I stopped just saying no to Bobby. I just would flash the pen at him.
No! I said no! 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 Yeah, no.
I think the most meaningful moment was when Gooch's whole entire family came and was helping us move all of his stuff out of his old hunting shack into his new gorgeous house. And his grandkids, we got to hang out with them and talk with them a lot, and it was really, really fun and awesome. And our youth group had this handshake.
Ready?
Wow! Wow!
You get owned.
We tried to teach them, and they caught on really fast, and then all of a sudden we all just had this bond, and we were inside Gooch's new house just all laughing and doing this handshake and making fun of everyone who messed up, and it was just this really awesome moment to see everybody come together, not only to help Gooch, but I feel like we all kind of helped each other that day just to see the power that God has in bringing us all together.
My most meaningful and powerful moment was when the last time we came back to chapel. I was just thinking back of all the good we did, and it was just a really cool experience for me.
My most powerful and meaningful memory from mission trip was being able to spend it with my brother on his first mission trip. And Thursday night we did foot washing, which you wash somebody's feet and then everyone goes in a circle and says something about them and like what they just talk about them, and then like it just continues to do that. And so I washed my brother's feet and he washed mine.
So the moment that was most powerful and meaningful for me on mission trip was we were just getting done with the foot washing. You know, it's a really emotional time. A lot of people are crying, and it's just really uplifting time as well. And so we got in a group, and it came time to choose someone to lead the prayer. And Bobby spoke up and said he wanted to lead the prayer, and it was really cool to hear him lead it. And he started crying immediately, and then we were all crying because Bobby was crying, and it was just really, really powerful moment, and just a lot of love in that circle.
Okay, so there's actually two really meaningful moments for me, and one of them was, like Carly said, when the family came to help us out, and Bradley, one of the sons actually, or the grandsons, I don't know, he actually, like, afterwards, he found me on Instagram and he thanked me for help, and like he thanked our whole group for like helping out, and it was like really powerful. Like it means that much that he'll like go out of his way to like contact you and like try to thank you again, and it was just really cool. And then the other one was, like Hayden said, when Bobby led the prayer, because you know, it's not all like it's a big deal, like when everybody is just so emotional, and Bobby stepped up, and he's never done that before for like the prayer, and it was really neat and cool. So
one of the most powerful and meaningful moments for me was actually the very last day that we were on the work site, and Mr. Gooch goes, "I hope to see you again sometime." So I was just like, "Aw, that's really sweet and cute."
Getting him moved into his house with the help of his family, because he was hesitant to actually move in because he lost his wife and he had emotional attachments to his house. And so getting him moved into his house that Next Step has made for him was pretty powerful moment for me.
I think the people that were the next up staff there, I talked to them more and got closer to them, more of them than last year, which was really cool.
All right, the most impactful moment for me on this mission trip was seeing how far the house had come over the past 3 years. We were there 3 years ago at the same house, actually, and we had worked on pretty much the entire roof and getting that completed. And then we came back this year, and pretty much the entire house was done, and it was amazing seeing how far it had come. So we were basically just working on the deck and then moving Mr. Gooch into his new house, and it's amazing how far he's really come, and seeing God work through him and just the next step in his journey.
For me, the most powerful moments or moments I remember the most would be when we were at the site. I gave Mike his 60 push-ups for this one. Gooch's granddaughter, I think it would be, was there, and her and I started talking, and then we exchanged numbers. That's why I owed Mike the push-ups. And then we've been talking at least a few times a week since we left West Virginia, and we've bonded a lot and made a very good friendship out of it.
The foot washing night, we were finishing, and I thought I was going to be the one to close in prayer, and Bobby actually came up to me and he said, "Nikki," he said, "I want to be the one." And I said, "Do you want to be the one to pray?" And he said, "Yeah." And so he started praying, and like Carly said, then we all started crying, and because it was really special. And Gina and Mike and I don't think any of the kids will ever forget it, because it was really meaningful, and it was probably his last trip, because he's going into the military, and so that was really special for me. Thank you for that. And then I guess I would say another one, and I'm not sure if all the kids know this, but we were at the dinner place at one point, and the people that run Next Step came up to me and they said, "We just wanted to say thank you to you guys for coming down and for actually wanting to work on Mr. Gooch's house," because they were almost done with it. And they kind of made a project for us that week because they weren't sure if he was going to be ready for us to move his furniture, because his wife had passed away in March. But they said, it's really kind of a miracle the way things are working out, because their group had come down in November around Thanksgiving. They had people actually fly in to move him in, and he wouldn't, because and actually Grace was still alive at that point, and he was like, "I'm not ready, I'm not moving," and I think that was because he wasn't quite ready for the Next Step staff to be done either. But they said when we came down, he said he wanted to do it, so we were thankful for that. And the last thing would probably be just the opportunity to pray over the kids. That was needed, always is, and especially I think because for some of the kids it'll be their last trip, so it was really memorable for me.
Probably kind of the biggest moment for me was during the foot washing, and just kind of hearing everyone talking about how you've kind of made an impact in their life. And probably the biggest one was listening to Bobby kind of close in prayer, and just him saying what everyone meant to him. And it's just nice to hear that you've had some positive impact on someone's life when you're not always sure, or do they listen to you, or they're just kind of not in their head. But when you hear them saying that, it really means a lot to you.
Foot washing, because when you're sitting in the chair and everybody's complimenting you, and it just makes you feel so good, and it's awesome to be in that moment.
I wasn't at the first mission trip when they went to Gooch's house, but being able to go back and seeing the impact we have on his life was really awesome. And the foot washing was very memorable. Like Trent said, everyone saying nice things. It was really awesome to hear and makes you feel good about yourself.
On the way there, Carly's playing this little game on her phone, and it's called Zigzag, and so I was like, oh, that seems like a pretty cool game. It's something to amuse yourself on the ride, right? So I downloaded it, was playing it. Jaden decided to download it too. Parker did download it too, and Jason downloaded it too, and basically everybody was playing it the entire week. So it was really funny, like throughout the week, when you'd get a little time, you sit there and play Zigzag. It was just like the thing we did on mission trips. So then you'd be like halfway through the week, like, oh, what's your high score? Oh, what's your high score? So it was just really funny, just friendly competition throughout the whole week of everybody trying to beat everybody's high score, and it was really funny. So who won? I think Jason won. He had like over 1,000, yeah. So
one of my favorite moments from mission trip were sitting in the van Carly would be in the back and I'd be in the front with Trent sleeping on my shoulder and then Morgan sleeping on my other shoulder. And so I'd get kind of bored not being able to sleep. So Carly would send Snapchats of the back of my head. I don't know why. And I would start sending Snapchats of people, like if they were eating, I'd put a caterpillar emoji where their food was. So it would show like they're eating a caterpillar. So that turned into kind of a trendy thing in the van. So we start sending Snapchats of caterpillars in the road, like cars, or in Trent's hair, or Bobby's ear, or Hayden eating one.
On the very first day of the work, we literally got there and just started working, and we got a lot accomplished on the first day. It was like we already bonded, so we just started working, and then we just worked the rest of the week, and we just worked together as a team.
One of the things that really I just remember is Gooch actually, like a couple of days during the week, he made us food, which was really cool because you know, somebody who doesn't have a ton of things, he brought us huge watermelons. We had like a quarter watermelon each person, so like I couldn't even finish my part, and I don't think any of us could.
Something I probably will never forget is the meals Mr. Gooch made us, because he didn't have a lot to give us, but he took time out of his day and of all the normal stuff he does just to make us a meal.
But like, and then like he made us Gooch pie and just all these things, and it's so neat. It's like cake, sort of, but like made out of Twinkies and strawberries, which are like the two best things in the world, so it's like perfect. And so it was just really neat because I felt like we bonded a lot more with the recipient of the work than we have in the past.
So one of the things that I remember most about Mission Trip was on our last day we went to a lake, and we were like, it was like really cloudy at first. We were wondering if it was going to be actually nice to swim. And then the sun came out, so it was really cool. And a few of our staff people came. And so we were playing in the water and stuff, swimming around and having a good time. And then me and Carly were roughhousing a little bit. And then I accidentally ripped out one of her earrings. And she's all right now. But
This was probably the first mission trip where I could be seen as like one of the oldest people and one of the leaders. I mean, being a leader there for someone else, it's kind of cool, passing the baton onto them and seeing where they're going to go in the next few years.
Just being able to see Gene again, that was a really big goal of mine because, I don't know, he made such an impact on me 3 years ago. Just a really kind-hearted person and really generous and sweet. And so Gene is Mr. Gooch, Mr. Gooch from West Virginia. And so we were really excited because we didn't know if we'd get to see him again, but the next step trip, and Gina actually made that happen. So, and then my other memorable moment had to be after we went to church on Sunday on our way down. We were all hungry after church, and so we went to Ponderosa, which was an all-you-can-eat buffet place. And so, because Jaden eats a lot, we decided that we were going to make bets on him to see how long it would take from the time that we finished our all-you-can-eat buffet before he said, "I'm hungry again," in the van. And so we were all like taking bets and stuff, and I think about half of everybody was like, "Oh, I think it'll take less than 2 hours," and everybody else was like, "No, I think it'll take more than 2 hours." And Hayden Breen, what was the time, the official time? Do you remember?
Like an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes. Yep. He's like, "I think I'm hungry."
For me, one thing that kind of sticks out was the drive to and from Mr. Gooch's house every morning. Kids are always looking out like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and I'm like white knuckle driving because you're going up this hill and coming around sharp turns, and there's no guardrail, and it's supposed to be a 2-lane road, but really it's 1 lane, and there's loose gravel, and they're just like, "It's so beautiful," and I'm like, "Oh, please don't drive off the cliff, Michael."
I apparently do a pretty quality Sarah Palin impression. And we would be driving, and we would get really, really sick of driving. So I would just start narrating everything that was happening. Well, everybody, on your left you see the cliff of death, so hopefully we won't die today. But if we do, our great Lord in heaven will save us and probably send us to heaven, which looks a lot like the Great Lands of Alaska.
No! I said no! 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 Yeah, no!
Wow, where'd that come from?
Ma!
I'm still thinking.